Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Courtney Brown is my pregnancy specialist today.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Xavier.
Okay, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Not much has changed since it was filed. Xavier is still in her foster home and doing well there. I've been in contact with both parents this month. Father's completed his parenting class. Mom has yet to do any of her services.
Are we in contact with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she paying any of her child support? Do we know?
According to her, yes. I'm not sure if that's factual or not.
All right, what are we doing as far as the child in contact with dad?
Xavier still doesn't want contact with dad, and dad is perfectly okay with that. He's letting Xavier kind of set the pace with that and just kind of letting her lead.
Okay. What about mom? Is she having any visits?
She's having phone contact with mom. They don't have a set date. I think it's kind of just whenever either one of them wants to have a visit over the phone.
All right, so what is our long-term plan here? She's going to turn 18 next May. I mean, are we talking aging out of care and maybe extended care?
From what I've gathered from Xavier, she wants to age out of care. She wants to move back up to this area and get a job. I've tried to explain. I would love for her to go to like a vocational school because I know she is interested in welding and things like that. At this time, school is not her main focus and not something that she's really looking forward to. So that part's kind of up in the air.
Okay. Well, I guess we've got a little bit of time to work with her and try to convince her maybe that there's, some options where she can work if she wants and maybe have some support in extended care. So,
yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Zavala.
So the reason I didn't sign off on this hearing is just I think there are some things on the horizon over the next year that we need to be aware of. I think Xavier might be open to staying in extended care. What she's not open to is continuing in school past turning 18. So she's starting this year as a junior. I don't know if there's any way in her area to get her in a program where she can do accelerated on her own pace credits that would somehow allow her to graduate this year. I don't know if that's even the slightest possibility, but she's been pretty clear that when she turns 18, no more school for her. Now, if we've gotten her in a situation where she's 3 weeks away from graduating high school at the time she turns 18, I think she might stick it out and do that, but I think very realistically, we're losing her in terms of school at 18. She's registered, she's going to start school. She actually has a decently positive attitude about school right now. So I'd love to see if there's any way that we could get her, in some sort of accelerated program. But if not, I think starting about December, we need to really be focused on a GED for her and get that, get her into some sort of program like that. I just think while a diploma would be absolutely the best way to go, I think unless we can do it this year, I don't think it's going to happen. So I want to make sure she's at least set up with the GED. She is very interested in coming back here. She is interested in welding. I don't know if that's something that we could work on. The other thing is, I think for nobody's fault, but she hasn't done her PALS class yet. So we need to get her set up on that. She said that she had some information, but she lost it. I think we need some help in getting her set up on those PALS classes. But she does seem to be doing well. I mean, I like the placement. She had a very positive attitude. But I just think we have some realistic things to be looking at this year.
So here's a question. We need to get the education specialists involved in this to see, number one, can we get her into an accelerated program or does the high school where she's at, participate with any vocational programs where, she would go certain classes, but then she would go, to the vocational training, like we have here. So I don't know. Have we had our education people look at this?
No.
Okay, I think we need to. So, I think sooner rather than later, obviously.
Yes, ma'am.
There may be, so you said she's going to start as a junior. She'll be going in as a junior. Okay. So, I mean, there may be some programs where she might be eligible to do something like that. And if so, I think that would be a great option.
Yes, ma'am. I will get on that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue her current placement. Excuse me. Our next review hearing will be January 25th of 2024. That's on a 9:00 docket. And that'll still give us about 4 months to see if we've got things in place for her. Has she had any driver's ed yet?
I don't
No,
know.
Judge. I've reached out to the PALS coordinator a few times. And there's just been, she's moved placements. And so I think she was set to start at her previous placement and then she moved again. So I am on top of that. And I'm hoping that we can get that at least set up for her in the next few weeks at the most.
Okay.
Because I know Xavier wants that driver's ed. So I'm working on it.
Do we have her social security card and her birth certificate and all those things?
Yes, ma'am. She has her documents.
Okay, good. All right, well, let's get the education folks involved, get her set up for driver's ed.
Daniel Trout for the Texas
And,
Department of Family and Protective
I'll see
Services,
everybody.
and Mario Sabala is my pregnancy specialist here.
Lorraine Lucero on behalf of Adriana de la Torre, the mother, Your Honor. I'm present and ready. She's taking a required class today, so she will not be present.
Ryan Turman on behalf of respondent father Kurt Williams. I'm present and ready. I've had no contact with Mr. Williams in quite a while now. It does not appear that he's present.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Isabella.
All right, then. What do we have new since the court report was filed?
Yes, Your Honor. When it comes to Adriana, she, like her attorney said, that she is in that abuse class that she was required to take by you, and it was only for today, so that's the reason why she's not present. But since our last court, Adriana did move in with her uncle a couple of days after you had granted her to move in, and the uncle Alfredo Ramirez had asked Adriana to leave on June 17th because he felt that Adriana was still having contact with the individual that she was not supposed to be speaking with. I found that out like late July that Adriana wasn't living there. She mentioned that she was living in her car, and then she was living with another person. That house that I went to go visit, they had mentioned that Adriana was only staying there some days. Some days she was not staying there. So when I had asked Adriana where she was living at, she says she was living in her car. As of now, Adriana has moved back in, has moved back in with Alfredo Ramirez. And Alfredo mentioned to me that she has been doing a lot better, that she comes home at a decent time, and she does stay there all day. Those were one of the reasons why Alfredo had asked her to leave, because Adriana was coming home around 11 p.m. to midnight with no explanation. She just said she was out and about. But as of now, she's Alfredo said that she's been doing pretty well, helping out a lot with Isabella. When it comes to the father, Kurt Williams, I'm sorry?
I don't know. I heard some background, but what?
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. When it comes to Kurt Williams, the father, I spoke with him in person at his job. He said he's a little frustrated because he said that nobody has contacted him, but he doesn't have a phone, so there's no reason, there's no way for us to talk to him over the phone. I do send him letters 3 times a month. When he's not there, I find out what days he's off now on. And he said that he's a little upset that nobody has gotten in contact with him. He tells us that we should be calling his job, but my phone number is on those letters for him to call me at his job. So, but he said that he feels that he has no reason to be a part of this court because Isabella wasn't removed from his possession at the time of removal. And he is threatening to take Alfredo and Adriana to court once all this is settled for that reason.
Have we, let's see, I'm looking, we've
Yeah.
not done genetic testing on him.
We have, Judge, and I was going to let you know that. It
Okay.
came back and Kurt Williams is the father.
Okay,
Yes. And he doesn't have a house. He lives in a garage, in just a random garage. The owner of the house found him living in there, and then was like, okay, yeah, you could. He just said he pretty much just told him that he could live there. So he's living in just a random garage. So when it comes to Isabella, she's doing extremely well. She is learning to point to certain objects on things that she wants. The uncle has like a little book where it has like pictures of fruits and vegetables and Gatorade, the stuff that Isabella loves. And they're teaching her how to point to certain things, stating that's what she likes or that's what she wants. They're still continue to work with her in potty training. She's very active, loves to be outside, loves to play with water. But overall, she has done a huge turnaround while living with Alfredo. Her night terrors have decreased tremendously. She's doing very well.
all right. So who does he work for?
Kurt Williams?
Yes.
He works for United on Tascosa Road.
What does he do there? Do you know?
Yes, he works in the hot food area.
Okay. Mr. Terman, that gives you maybe something. You're muted.
Sorry. Yes, you asked the question for me, and that definitely gives me a start. So that's excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero?
Your Honor, yes, my client had asked for this extension just to give her time, to get her own place, things like that. She wanted the court to know that I guess there was a falling out there with the uncle at that hearing where you said she couldn't have any contact with that Miguel. You had also advised her that she needed to meet with him, if she needed to, one last time to explain to him the situation, that she couldn't be around him. She advised me that that's what she was doing, and the uncle got upset with her, and so she moved out. She advised me that she had stayed, and I'll be honest with you, I can't recall the name. It's someone that she's known for years. She was gone, I think, for like around 2 weeks. She has returned to the uncle's house. She advised me that she's going to be in touch with her worker or the specialist because she was approved for HUD. She got a 3-bedroom home. I'm not sure if it's just a house or an apartment, but she did get approved late Tuesday, and she's hoping to start moving in Wednesday. But she's going to have to, she needs to furnish the home, but she's going to start working towards moving into that home and continue to have contact with Isabella. And as far as it's set out in the report, I mean, she's completed her services. I believe she's come a long way. So we just had asked for this extension just to give her time to continue to get it together and get her own place. And that's kind of where we're at. So that's all I have for the court today.
Okay.
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've got a little too many balls in the air right now. Could I be excused? Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right then, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Isabella is doing great at Uncle's house. He has been so hands-on in figuring out ways and strategies to work with her. I am glad to hear Mario's report that Mom has started becoming more active in her care, because one of my big concerns was even when she was in the home, she wasn't the one providing any care for Isabella. And so that's really my concern, that she learns how to take care of Isabella's needs. So I'm glad to hear she's back in the home and starting to step up in that manner. But she's doing wonderfully in that placement, and I have got no concerns with her there.
All right, great. Okay, well then, like I said, I've already granted the extension. And we've set a new dismissal date,
February 9th.
February 9th. February 9th of 2024. I am
And
going to reset the final in this case for November 28th of 2023. And of course, Ms. Lucero, you know how that works. You can explain to your client,
Okay.
you know, if things are going really well, then we'll take a look at that. But
Okay.
And Judge, I'm gonna try to get together with Ms. Lucero fairly soon and see if we can get something figured out. And then if we can at that point, we, you know, just kind of a settlement conference. If not, we may go into a mediation and see what we can figure out and see where everybody stands at that point.
okay, you guys let me know whether you want me to appoint an attorney mediator, or you all want to just try to go to DRC, or what you want to do.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't make that appointment today, but just keep me posted.
Yeah, we'll try to see if we can get there without going through a formal mediation on.
Okay.
So, good.
Okay, then I'll continue
Daniel Trout for
everything,
the Texas
and we'll
Department
see
of Family
back
and
for a
Protective
final
Services.
November
We're
28th.
present, ready, on.
Interno for the mother, Dakota Donovan. I'm present. Miss Donovan is present. She has asked that I request an extension today.
Jeff Hill on behalf of the unknown father, ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Marley today.
All right, then my assumption is that the department is in opposition to the request for extension.
That'd be correct, Your Honor. Due to the lack of progress in the case, we don't think it's necessary for an extension at this time.
All right, and Mr. Hill, do you have any position?
No, ma'am.
All right, and Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I'd be opposed to an extension at this time. Mom hasn't even seen the child in well over 6 months and hasn't participated in any services recently.
What services has she completed? And I guess that'll be a question for the current permanency specialist.
She has not completed any services since January that I'm aware of. She said she did 2 or 3 parenting classes, 2 or 3 counseling sessions with Jennings Counseling. And as of yesterday, she hadn't done anything further.
Okay, my question is, what has she completed? So has she completed any services?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, because you were saying since January, so I was trying to find out, did she complete anything prior to January?
No, ma'am.
And has she given any reasons why she has not been able to complete services?
Her reasonings have been the Zoom links don't work for the parenting classes. She can't get a hold of anyone at Jennings Counseling. For drug tests, she either doesn't respond the day that I send her or she's out of town. And the OSAR evaluation, she slept through it and it was never rescheduled.
So we've had no drug treatment. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And drugs were one of the underlying reasons for the original removal. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anybody else have any questions they want to ask Ms. Williams just on the issue of the extension?
I do, Your Honor, just briefly.
Okay.
Miss Williams, did Miss Donovan just recently have a new child?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that child born?
On July 7th.
And is that child still in Miss Donovan's care?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you been to the residence where Miss Donovan is living?
Yes, ma'am.
And are there any problems with the residence?
No, ma'am.
Is the residence safe and appropriate for a child?
Yes.
Why has the department allowed that child to remain with Miss Donovan?
The new child,
Yes, ma'am.
Dakota tested positive for marijuana and the baby did not test positive for any drugs at the hospital, and the investigation was closed.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Trout, anybody have any questions for Ms. Williams regarding the extension?
Just a few. Ms. Williams, do you know approximately how many times you have sent mom to drug screen during the case of this test or course of this case?
It's been at least once a month since last August. There were a couple that it was 2 times a month, but at least 12. Yeah, we're in August.
So be conservative would say 10 or 12.
Yes.
Okay. And mom has not done any of them?
No.
Were you involved in the investigation as far as the new baby? Did you have anything to do with that?
I was not involved. I was kept up to date, but no, not involved.
St. Francis doesn't get that until after removals happen, correct?
Yes, sir.
But outside of that baby, as far as the case in front of us right now, mom has completed no services.
Correct.
Besides, I believe, parenting classes with Jenny's counseling, hasn't done anything.
Correct.
And that is the facts of the case in front of us, correct?
Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay. And any further questions?
Just a few. Is it correct that the last time Miss Donovan's even seen Marley was January 19th?
Yes, ma'am.
When is the last time that Miss Donovan has asked you how Marley's doing?
I couldn't tell you. Not any time after that visit.
Has she ever asked you to start those visits back up?
No, ma'am.
Was she aware that a negative UA would be required to start those drug screens, start those visits back up?
Yes, ma'am.
And she still refused to go to drug screen?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass witness.
Well, Ms. Naranjo, no one's presented me with extraordinary circumstances, which the law requires for me to find to extend the case. And obviously, you know, had mom done some drug testing for us and sought any kind of drug treatment, that would have been one of the major findings of extraordinary circumstances. But I'm hearing no extraordinary circumstances upon which to base the extension, and so I will deny that request. And Mr. Trout, you can call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We call Haley Jordan. And Ms. Jordan, how are you employed?
With the Department of Family and Protective Services.
And how long have you been employed by them?
Just over 8 years.
Okay. Are you familiar with the case involving
Yes,
the
sir.
child Marley? And how are you familiar with that case?
I was the investigator and assigned to this case on August 1st, 2022.
Okay. And with being employed by the department, does the department in their cases keep records as a regular course of business?
Yes.
And have you, during your investigation, did you review those?
Yes, sir.
Records? Are you a custodian of record for the department?
Yes.
So this case started early or before you got the investigation. This case started as a family-based service. Is that correct?
Yes, there was family-based was previously involved. When I got involved, they were no longer involved.
Okay. And prior to your involvement, the family-based service, let me back up a second. Is family-based service a way to help prevent removal and to
Yes,
allow
sir.
the child to stay?
Yes, sir.
And that case was open, was it in the year prior?
I believe so. I can tell you it was opened in it closed in April 2022. It looks like it opened in October of 2021.
Okay. Did your review of the files prior, do you know why the case was closed? The family-based case?
According to the records, Miss Donovan was not compliant, but continued to test positive for drug use.
Okay. And was that the main concern during the family-based was drug use?
Yes.
Okay. And so then that case closed. How did your case begin? What was the reasoning for the department's involvement again?
The allegation was that Miss Donovan was continuing to use drugs, that the baby was being kept unclean. So physical neglect was also alleged.
Were you able to meet with the mother?
I was.
And what is her name?
Geez, her name just went out of my head. Dakota Donovan.
Okay. And you were able to meet with her.
Yes, sir.
Was that at her home?
Yes, is a residence where she resided with her grandfather.
Did you address the allegations of drug issues? With
Yes.
her?
Yes, sir.
Did she admit to any drug use during that day?
No, sir.
Okay. Did she admit to any marijuana use when you talked to her?
No, no, sir.
Okay. I believe your report states she failed to respond when I asked about the possible drug use. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask Ms. Donovan to drug screen for you?
Yes, sir.
Did she agree to?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Now you asked for an oral swab, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you asked also if she would do a hair strand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did she perform the oral swab?
Yes, she did.
Did you set up a time for her to go do the hair follicle?
Yes.
Did she ever show up to do the hair follicle test?
No, sir.
So from the beginning, she did the oral swab, but did not do the hair follicle. Did you ever receive results from the oral swab?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did those give you reason for concern?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever meet with mother to go over any of her, to go over the drug screen with them?
I believe not in person, no.
Did you
I
attempt? I'm sorry. Did you attempt to meet with her?
Yes.
That meeting never occurred.
No, sir.
Okay. After you received the results and you tried to reach out to mother, she did not meet with your contact. How long after that was it before you had contact with the mother again?
It was not until the day of, it was August 8th.
So the department asked for removal at that time due to concerning results from the oral swab and concerns of neglect for the baby. Is that correct?
We did not ask for the removal due to neglect, physical neglect.
Okay.
It was only due to the drug screen.
To the drug screens. And the department was granted temporary management serviceship that time.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Did you meet with the mother to explain that and to go over the paperwork on that?
Yes, we did.
Did you ever ask the mother to drug screen again?
Yes.
And did she go drug screen at that time?
You know what? I don't have knowledge of that because after the case did transfer.
Okay. Did after the removal was a visitation set up between mother and the child? Did
Yes, it
mother
was.
attend that visitation?
No, she did not.
As to the time that the case was transferred over, did mother ever call to reschedule a visit with the child?
As far as the visitation right after removal, she canceled, and then during my investigation, she never visited with the child.
So besides the oral screen that she did, mother did not drug screen for you during your investigation?
No, sir.
And did not attend her visitation with the child after the removal?
No, sir.
Do you believe that it was in the best interest of the child for the removal at that time?
Yes, sir.
And due to concerns of mother's ongoing drug use?
Yes, sir.
Where was the child placed?
She was placed with fictive kin, which was her godmother, Miss Emily.
Okay. So the family was placed with family.
Yes.
Did that around that time, did that conclude your part of the investigation?
Yes, sir, it did.
Involvement in this case. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Jordan, did you ever go visit Ms. Donovan's residence?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And was the residence safe and appropriate for children?
Yes, it was.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Jordan, I believe you've talked to us now about the family-based case. If that opened in October of 2021 and Marley would have been about 9 months old?
Yes, right around there.
Okay. And actually, Ms. Donovan had 2 open CPS cases before that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Marley was born January of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
And did Marley the baby test positive for both marijuana and cocaine at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
That case closed in February of 2021 because Miss Donovan was going to reside with her father and stepmother and attend drug treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
In August of 2021, was there another case opened?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, Miss Donovan tested positive for both cocaine and marijuana.
Yes, ma'am.
For Marley's entire life, CPS has been involved.
Yes, ma'am.
First, Miss Donovan was allowed to be supervised by family and attempt her own drug treatment. And was that successful?
No, ma'am.
And then she agreed to a family-based case. And did she work services then?
No, ma'am.
And then we went to an official removal. And your participation in this case ended at the adversary, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you wouldn't know whether she actually worked services in this case, but
No, ma'am.
was it your testimony that she didn't see the child at any time while you were involved?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass the witness.
Ms. Joint, during your investigation, did Ms. Donovan tell you who the possible father was?
Yes, she did.
Okay, and who was that? What name?
McCraw?
Oh,
No. I'm sorry. No. And Mr. Richard Phillips, and I believe she gave me more than one name.
Okay.
I spoke with a Mr. Phillips.
Okay. And did she state, as far as Mr. McCraw, that he had passed away?
I don't recall that. Hold on.
In your August 2nd meeting.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at my, I've slept since this, but no, I'm sorry. I was looking at my investigative report. Yes, she stated on August 2nd that he had passed away.
But she also gave you a possible name of Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Okay. When the FDSS case was closed in April of 22, was it the understanding that mother was to be supervised with Marley?
Yes.
Do you know whether that was occurring or not?
I can't really speak to that. No.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Church, you can call your next witness.
I'd call Dakota Donovan, Your Honor.
All right, Mrs. Donovan.
Ms. Donovan, when was the last time you had a visitation with Marley?
January, and Cayenne did state that I have not been asking about her, and that's not true. I have texts where I've asked for pictures.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right, non-responsive. All right, Ms. Donovan, let's just get the ground rules straight. Listen to what questions, either Mr. Trout or whether it's your lawyer or Ms. Zavala, whoever it is. Listen to the question that they are asking you and answer only that question. I know there's things that you want me to know, but that's why you have a lawyer. She'll circle around to anything like that she thinks, she needs to come back and ask you. So this isn't where you just get to tell me whatever you want to tell me. It doesn't work that way. Okay? You understand?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Trout, I'm going to let you ask your next question.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Donovan, have you drug screened for the department?
A couple of times, but not a lot, no.
Okay. Do you know when you drug screened?
I'm sorry?
Do you know when you drug screened? When the last
No,
time?
I don't. No, I don't remember.
Okay. Are you aware that due to the nature of this case involving the allegations of drug use, that visitations may be withheld due to not drug screening?
Yes.
Okay. And you did not drug screen a couple of times in the last 12 months?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time you used drugs?
Before I had my son.
Okay. And you had him in July, is that correct?
Yes.
So when you say before you had him, when was that? Do you have an approximate date?
Just I smoked weed a couple weeks before I had him, and that was it.
Okay, so did that lead to him being positive when he was born for marijuana?
No, he was not positive for anything.
Okay, you were,
Just me, yes.
but you smoked an illegal drug shortly before he was born, knowing you were pregnant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When's the last time you used anything other than marijuana?
Before I got pregnant.
Okay. Would that be during this case?
Yes.
So during this case, when you weren't drug screening, you did use something other than marijuana, correct?
At the beginning, yes, but I got pregnant a month or so after.
Okay. And what were you using?
Cocaine.
Okay. Have you completed any services?
I have not completed any, no.
Okay. Why have you not completed any services in the 12 months this case has been going on?
Well, a couple times whenever my phone, I didn't, there's no excuse, so I'm not even gonna try, so it doesn't.
Okay. You were aware you needed to work services,
Yes, I'm aware.
and you're aware that working services helps you reunite with your child,
Yes,
and throughout this case, you still did not work services.
yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Donovan, have you asked Ms. Williams regarding how Marley is doing?
Yeah, I've texted her and I've asked her pictures. I asked what size clothes she wore. I asked how she was doing, and I still have every single text.
When have you asked her how Marley is doing?
I'll go look right now when the last time I asked. I asked her for pictures literally a week ago. And I've asked a couple times. She said that she's been busy and she wasn't able to send any. I'm sorry, I've been busy this week. I haven't been able to send any. I keep her updated on my classes. Hold on, I'm trying to find them. I've asked if she needed any pull-ups or if she needed any clothes, what size clothes she wore. Can I get pictures?
Why haven't you consistently drug screened for CPS?
I've been out of town the couple times that she asked me.
And what efforts have you made to work services?
I have done some of them, not all of them. I did not complete them, but I have done some of them.
Did you attend 4 sessions of individual counseling?
I can't remember, but I think so.
And how many parenting classes did you attend?
I couldn't give you an accurate number. I'm not sure.
Did you attend about 2 or 3?
I think so.
Did you make any effort to do an OSAR evaluation?
I did sleep through it, yes, because I had an overnight job and I worked all night. I didn't get off until 7 a.m. And so, yes, I did sleep through it. But I have recently signed up for the in this room thing, the meetings. But I had asked Danielle multiple times what the link was, and I had to keep asking her for the link.
Did you make an effort to reschedule the OSAR meeting?
I did, yes, but she said that she was based out of Pampa, and I do not have transportation to get to Pampa. I have a car, but I don't have a way to get to Pampa.
Are you currently sober?
Yes.
And did you give birth to your son on July 7th?
Yes.
And is your son still in your care at your home?
Yes, he's with me.
And was there an investigation done regarding your son?
There was an investigation, but they found that he had nothing in his system, so they closed it.
And from what you know, is your home safe and appropriate for children?
As far as I've been told by everyone that has come here, yes.
And are you asking that your rights not be terminated today?
I mean, yes, I am asking for that.
Are you willing to continue to work services for the department?
Yes. Yes.
And are you willing to submit to drug screens?
Yes.
Now, you've heard testimony that you were not consistent with your visitation. Is that correct?
Yes, but I was told that they were going to get terminated because I had not been able to attend that drug test.
Before your visits were terminated, why didn't you attend visits consistently?
I mean, it wasn't just me. I worked overnight again, like I said, and the 8 a.m. just did not work for me. We did finally were able to get it changed to 4 p.m. because that was the only thing that
accommodated to Michaela's schedule when I was told that it would be accommodated to me, but it was never accommodated to me. It was always about them.
And when the visitation was changed from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., were you able to attend?
I did attend a couple, yes, and they were late.
How many visits did you attend?
Maybe 2 or 3.
Why did you stop attending after January of this year?
Because Cayenne had told me that since I was unable to go to the drug test, that she was going to terminate my visits.
Why are you asking for your rights not to be terminated today?
Because I mean, I do have my son in my care. So I feel like if CPS did not find me not responsible to take care of my son, then I'm just asking for a second chance to be able to finish my services and get my daughter back. There's no reason that my son shouldn't know his sister.
What kind of relationship do you and Marley have?
I mean, before all this, we had a great relationship.
Do you think that she's been impacted from not seeing you?
I mean, yeah, I know.
Do you think it's in Marley's best interest that your rights not be terminated today?
I mean, yeah, I'm her mom.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that your rights should not be terminated today?
Because I feel like even though people mess up, I feel like people deserve a second chance. And there are far worse people who still have their children. And I just feel like I'm willing to restart, do whatever I have to do, but I feel like everybody deserves a second chance.
Throughout this case, have you kept a safe and stable residence for children?
Yes.
And what other efforts have you made to make sure that you're a safe and reasonable person to have a child with you?
Well, I mean, besides smoking the weed, I've been sober. I didn't fail for anything else. I've been sober besides that. And I just got a job. I have a clean home, a safe environment.
Where'd you just get a job at?
TJ Maxx. I start on Tuesday.
Will that be part-time or full-time?
Right now, part-time because of the kids going back to school, but once they go back to school, it will be full-time.
Who is financially supporting you while you're not working?
Right now, my son's father.
And when they had the investigation regarding your son, did the CPS meet with him?
Yes.
And did they have any concerns about him?
No.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Okay. And Ms. Zavala.
Ms. Donovan, you said you've been sober for how long?
From cocaine since September.
And you were aware that your visits were stopped because of your failure to drug screen?
Yes.
So since that time, you've been sober and could have gone to a drug test and could have started visitation at any point. Why did you not?
Because like I said, the couple times that she had asked me to go, I was not in town.
Since January?
Yeah, I've had a couple of family members pass away.
CPS has been in your life, in Marley's life, for her entire life, correct?
Yes.
She's over 2.5 now. How long should Marley wait?
She shouldn't.
You've stated everybody deserves a second chance, but this is your 4th chance, correct?
Yeah.
I've had twins.
Ms. Donovan, you stated that you were out of town the couple of times that Ms. Williams asked you to drug screen. Is that correct?
Yes.
You heard Ms. Williams say earlier, throughout the life of this case, conservatively, she's asked you 10 or 12 times to drug screen. Is that correct?
I don't recall that many times.
Okay. So you're claiming in 12 months, she's only asked you a couple of times?
To my knowledge, yes.
Did you ever ask her if you could drug screen?
I've talked to her and I told her, like, hey, this is when I'll be in town. Let me know when you want me to go and I'll go. And then she hadn't said anything for a while. Sometimes I didn't hear from her.
Okay. But during the life of this case, now you said you've been clean from cocaine since September, is that correct?
Yes,
But you also testified a while ago that you smoked marijuana right before your son was born, correct?
but that was it. Yes.
So did you smoke marijuana throughout the life of this case?
No.
You only did it right before he was born?
Yes.
No other time during the case did you smoke marijuana?
No.
Before this case started, you heard testimony that you weren't compliant with family-based services. Why didn't you work services during then?
Well, that's incorrect because I have a certificate from my drug class stating that I completed it.
Okay. They closed the FPSS case due to not drug screening.
I did drug screen. I went every single time that they asked me.
Objection, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Donovan, do you recall, you weren't there, so. You didn't attend the initial permanency hearing, which was on February 2nd of 2023, but at that hearing, I court ordered you to drug test before 4 o'clock that day. Do you recall whether you drug tested in February?
I don't think I did because I had worked overnight, so that's why I did not attend the hearing.
But you were ordered to drug test then that day before 4 o'clock. Do you recall whether you went and drug tested that day?
I don't think so.
Any reason?
I don't think so.
All right, Mr. Ronho, you have any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further from Ms. Donovan, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, Mr. Trout, you can call your next witness.
I'd call Kane Williams. And how are you familiar with that?
I've been a permanency specialist since the adversary hearing of this case.
Thank you, ma'am. When you first receive a case, do you put together service plans?
Yes, sir.
And what are family plans of service?
They are services for parents to complete in order to gain reunification with their children.
Okay. And are these essentially built on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you put together service plans or were service plans put together for this case?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive the exhibits that I sent out?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive exhibit number 1?
Yes.
And were you able to review it?
Yes.
Was it an accurate copy of service plans that were filed?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but my client needs to breastfeed the child briefly. Can we take a brief recess?
Yeah, we can. We're obviously running behind, but we can. All right, everybody just take a, we broke at, it was before 11:30. I didn't look at note the exact time, but probably around 11:25, something like that. And it's almost 11:45. So we've had close to a 20-minute break. She was connected this morning. We've not had any connectivity problems with her this morning. She hasn't had any technical problems this morning. So we're going to go ahead and proceed.
And
Ms. Ronho, please interrupt if you have some communication with her.
Ms. Williams, what sort of services was Ms. Donovan asked to do in her family plan?
Parenting classes, individual counseling, an OSAR assessment, visitation, random drug screens.
And did Ms. Donovan sign this family plan?
Yes.
And so she received a copy of it and was aware of services.
Yes.
And was she notified of these services were required in order to be reunified with the child?
Yes.
And that she needed to complete these services?
Yes.
During the course of this case, has she completed any services?
No.
Has she attempted any services?
Yes.
Which services did she partially work?
She did some parenting classes, some counseling sessions, and she said that she attempted to reschedule the OSAR.
Okay. was there an initial scheduling of the OSAR?
Yes.
And did she no show to that meeting?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, did she reschedule?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Do you know approximately when that was that she no showed on the OSAR? On her first one?
It was either January or February.
Okay. So quite a few months ago.
Yes.
Has she drug screened for you?
Not the last drug screen I have from her was August of last year.
Okay, and that's
August 17th.
when this case started.
Yes.
Okay. Now I believe you earlier when you were under oath, you testified you've asked at least once a month since this case.
Yes, and I will take that back if I can. I didn't have any contact with her between the court hearing early February and April 31st, so I didn't send her during those 3 months. So 7 or 8 times.
Okay, all right. But in the other times, she did not go.
Correct.
Okay. When was the last time that she has seen the child?
July 19th of this year.
And
Nope, I'm sorry, January 19th of this year.
okay, January. So, and she was aware that in order to start up visitation again, have a possibility of visitation startup, she would need to drug screen and test clean for the department.
Yes.
And since that time, she has not drug screened for you.
Correct.
The only notice you have of any sort of drug screen from her is from the birth of her child in July.
Yes.
And I believe she testified earlier that she was positive for marijuana, but not the baby, correct?
Yes.
Is the department asking, oh, excuse me, let me back up. Did you receive exhibit number 2?
Yes.
And can you tell me what that is?
I believe it was the paternity test for Richard Phillips.
Okay. Judge, I would ask that exhibit number 2 be admitted as a certificate of paternity
No
registry.
objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 2 will be admitted.
Thank you, Aaron. And in regards to the paternity registry search, Ms. Williams, did throughout this case in your contact with mom, has she ever given you a name of anybody else that could possibly be a father?
No.
One father was ruled out there, and one possible father was ruled out, correct?
Yes.
And then one of the other first names she gave, she stated that he was deceased during investigations.
Yes.
But outside of those 2 names, you've never received any other name for a possible father.
No, sir.
Okay. And as the exhibit we just admitted, the paternity registry search, nobody else has given a name of
No.
her client. Okay. Is the department asking to terminate the parental rights of the mother, Dakota Dunn, based upon failure to work services?
Yes.
And essentially constructive abandonment as not having seen the child in the last 7 months, 6 or 7 months. Does the department believe that that is in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
How is the child doing now?
She's doing really well.
Where is she placed?
She is in the St. Victor kinship home with Michaela Parsons and Emily Fermenter.
Is this a possible long-term adoptive home?
Yes, sir.
And is the department asking for termination of any possible fathers as to failure to register with paternity registry search at this time?
Yes.
And you believe that is also in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Williams, has Ms. Donovan maintained stable housing in this case?
Yes.
Has she also completed 4 individual counseling sessions?
Yes.
And has she attended at least some parenting classes?
Yes.
Is Ms. Donovan's residence safe and appropriate for children?
Yes.
And is her son currently residing with her?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
And Ms. Zavala.
Ms. Williams, at what period of time were you saying that you were out of contact with her?
Between the court hearing in February, I think it was February 2nd or 9th, and April 31st.
What would happen when you'd call her phone during that time?
She just wouldn't answer. I texted her multiple times, and just no response.
Had she responded to text messages before on that number?
Yes.
Has she responded to text messages afterwards on that number?
Yes.
You've been the permanency specialist this entire time, correct?
Yes.
Has your phone number ever changed?
No, ma'am.
Has your physical address ever changed?
No, ma'am.
You said that during the months when you could reach her, you would ask her to drug screen.
Yes.
During those text messages that she never responded to, did you ask her to drug screen at any of those?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Hang on, somebody just dropped off. Oh, maybe Miss Katie. Okay, sorry. Just, I'm trying to make sure everybody is accounted for. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you ever receive anything that said that her phone wasn't working?
No, ma'am.
Just no response to your inquiries?
Yes.
Marley's placed at the same home that she has been since removal, correct?
Yes.
How is she doing there?
She's doing really well.
Is that home either working on getting licensed for adoption or already completed that process?
They are licensed.
Okay. And Marley came to that home through a connection with mom, is that right?
Yes.
They're considered fictive kin because they've known each other for quite some time, correct?
Yes.
So if mom needed to get a hold of you and she couldn't reach you by your phone, she couldn't reach you at your office, she could even get a message to placement, right?
Yes.
There was some talk earlier about what inquiries Ms. Donovan had made about Marley.
Yes.
What has she asked you about Marley?
She's asked for pictures and she's asked for her clothing and diaper sizes. I didn't consider that asking about Marley or her well-being. And she's never provided any clothes or diapers or anything.
At any point, did she ask you if she could drug screen so she could start visits?
She would tell me when she was in town, but it's my understanding that drug screens have to be random. So I didn't ever send her at that time, but I would send her a week or two later.
I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tribe, do you have any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Your Honor. Would rest.
All right, Ms. Naranjo?
No witnesses, Your Honor. I'll rest as well.
Okay. Do you have any further contact from Ms. Donovan?
No, Your Honor. She's not responding to my calls or calls from my office.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Hill, anything to present today?
No, ma'am, rest.
And Ms. Zavala, any witnesses to call, anything to present?
No witnesses, Your Honor. I would rest.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I do believe it would be in Marley's best interest for the parental rights of mother to be terminated, as well as the parental rights of any unknown father as being in her best interest.
All right, then at this time, I do find by clear and convincing evidence, it is in the best interest of the child to terminate the parental rights between the child and her mother, Dakota Donovan, based on Texas Family Code, section 161.001, subsection B1, the N and the O grounds, and the best interest under 161.001 B2. I also find by clear and convincing evidence it's in the best interest of the child to terminate the parental rights, if any, between her and the alleged unknown father based on his failure to register with the paternity registry under Texas Family Code 161.002, subsection B2. This time, I'll name the department as permanent managing conservator of the child and dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire, with the exception of Mrs. Zavala, who will obviously remain as the child's attorney and guardian ad litem. For those of you who still be involved, our first review hearing on this will be November 30th of 2023 on a 9 o'clock docket. And as always, counsel, if be advised and cautioned, of course, that your de novo timeframe does begin to run today since I've rendered an open court. And if you're instructed to file a notice of appeal, please be sure the final order has been signed and adopted by the referring court before you do that. All right, I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much.
Daniel Trial for the Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready on.
Your Honor, Jeff Hill is here for Ms. Melton Pasley. We are not ready to move forward, Judge. A couple of reasons. CPS filed this morning, six documents, roughly 9:40 or so this morning, one of them which was the Stonebridge evaluation for Ms. Melton Pasley. It's a 13-page document. Had a chance to peruse it, but not read it in detail. I believe that there might be some relevant information in there in this case that frankly, that I need to know about and potentially consider how I might use it to defend Ms. Melton. So I would be requesting a continuance to be able to digest that document. Also, we're requesting maybe in lieu of a continuance, an extension in this case. We believe that Ms. Melton had made some strides since we were here last in May. She's taken this case much more seriously and has started working services, and would like a chance to continue with that to show the court that she is serious and can and would like to get her children back.
Okay, with just this sort of to simplify things, Mr. Hill, we are up against our dismissal date, which is August 7th. So the continuance is really sort of out of the question. Extension is certainly a possibility. So I think the appropriate thing to do would be I will allow you to call witnesses just to put on some testimony regarding the basis for extension. Everybody knows what the law says about that. I'm required to find that there's extraordinary circumstances which would warrant the granting of the 6-month extension. And so the court really needs to know what what facts exist that would, arise to extraordinary circumstances or not. And so obviously I'll give each of you parties an opportunity to address that. So your motion, Mr. Hill, so I'll allow you to call or present what you want to present.
Thank you, Judge. Who is the caseworker testifying today?
Probably Ms. Hunter.
Ms. Hunter, okay. I'd like to ask Ms. Hunter a few questions then,
Okay.
if
All
I
right.
might.
Everybody remember, this is just only as to regards extension.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Hunter, good morning. Were you here with us back in May at the last permanency hearing?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. We had that hearing and it was brought to light that Ms. Melton had not done a lot previous to that, but she had kind of started at that point to start working services and kind of make an effort. What efforts has Ms. Melton made in the last 2-3 months to start working services?
She has completed one drug screen for me in May. She has been attending therapy sessions with the lowest offenders. I think she's attended 3 at this point out of the 5 that she has scheduled. She has another one scheduled for this Friday. So she has been participating in that. She has done one of the classes that she was assigned to do with Padre. She actually got discharged from Padre just because she was no longer communicating or attending. She scheduled a couple of OSARs, but did not attend. That's the basis of what I do know. She is currently employed. However, I've not been able to verify that with any paycheck stubs or employment verification. That's just from her word of mouth. And then she is currently still residing with her mother.
Okay. And one of the documents that CPS filed this morning was some information, I believe, from one of her therapists that indicated that therapy seemed to be going very well, that Ms. Melton was very open and honest during therapy. And in the therapist's words in the information I received, she thought perhaps, in her opinion, too open and too sharing, at least if she was her attorney. So it sounds like to me that she's participating very well in therapy. Did I read that information correctly?
Yes, she did state that she felt that she was participating very well in therapy. She did express some concerns as well, such as like the living environment that she's in, the relationship that she's in, those types of things. But she did state that she did feel that she was participating very well.
Okay, and we do have, at least in a conversation I had last night with Ms. Melton's employer, and I believe that they're going to be here to testify later if need be. my understanding is that she has been gainfully employed here for the last couple of months at a laundromat, and her employers are very satisfied with the work that she has been doing. Is that what Ms. Melton has expressed to you?
Yes, that is to my understanding as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass the witness.
All right, and Mr. Trout, any questions?
Ms. Hunter, I know we talked about some services that she has started. Has she completed any services
At this point, no,
at this point?
except for the psychological that she was supposed to do.
And as far as her doing well, you said she drug screened for you in May,
Yes,
but then at the end of June, so just a little over a month ago, did mom admit that she was still using meth?
yes, she did.
So almost 11 months into this case, mom is still using drugs. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And she also did not screen for me in July either.
And she failed to screen in July, admitted to using as recently as June 29th. And has mom been open after your suggestions of any sort of inpatient?
We've had several discussions about it, but it's been very resistant on Sylvia's part. She's made statements to me such as, I don't want to be surrounded by people and their addictions 24 hours a day. It's not going to help me. I've spoke with her about possibly like Haven House, because once she does complete inpatient, that it could be a program that could be helpful for her to kind of get herself back on her feet, get out of the toxic environment that she claims that she lives in. And she said she wasn't interested in that because she has bad history with the Downtown Women's Center.
Okay. And you stated that she has not done an OSAR at this time.
To my understanding, no.
Do you know if one has been rescheduled to your knowledge? Has one been rescheduled?
At this point, I don't believe one has been rescheduled.
Okay. But prior to that, there was since in May and in June, there were OSAR scheduled, no call, no show, no call.
They were not attended. I don't remember the specific reasons for each one, but they were not attended, no.
Okay. And that's been since the last hearing.
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, as well. So at this time, we're very late in the game, seeing that this is a final at the end of the case. And mom has still not completed any services.
Except for the psychological, yes.
Except for the psychological, correct. And failed a drug screen within the last 30 days.
Yes, sir.
And admitted just over 30 days that she's still using.
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, Mr. Taylor, you have any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
And Ms. Zavala?
No questions, Your Honor.
Let me just clarify. Is she actively in any kind of drug treatment right now?
That I am aware of, no, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hill?
Not that I'm aware of, Judge.
Has she at any time during the pendency of this case participated in any kind of drug rehabilitation?
Sylvia had admitted that she had gone to the pavilion for treatment, I believe, for her alcoholism. She did tell me that she had been abstaining from alcohol, but she, and I quote her words, that she exchanged one addiction for a worse one.
All right, anybody else have any questions they want to ask Ms. Hunter?
Nothing for you, Ms. Hunter, at this time, Your Honor.
All right, then, Mr. Hill, anything else to present with respect to the extension?
No, ma'am.
Can I say anything? Or no?
I'll call her as a witness if she would like to address the court, Judge.
That'd be fine. All right, Mr. Hill, go ahead.
Ms. Melton, you've heard the testimony of Ms. Hunter, and that you started doing some things, but you fell short in some other areas, and I think the department is pretty concerned about drug use. What have you got to say to the court? You went about 8 months or so without really participating in any meaningful way. And then you've kind of turned it around a bit since then. What can you tell the court as to why the court should grant you an extension?
I know that I have started late in the game, and in all honesty, my goal was to quit drinking and be a better mother and a better person, and that's why I went to get clean in the first place. And then when I lost the kids, just everything was gone. Everything. The whole reason that I even did it was to be a better mom to them, and then there was nothing. Nothing. No more. I couldn't do it anymore. I was tired, and I know the kids are. But if I can have the opportunity to have a little more time, I can do what it is that y'all need me to do. And I was part of the TPC. I did also, I had their peer group meetings, and I did have a class that was in this family plan that she gave you. So I was part of that program. And also I do the alcohol NA and AA online. I know I don't have any way to prove that, but they do have meetings online that I do. But if y'all can just give me this opportunity for me and my kids. I mean, has anybody asked what the kids want? Are they happy where they are? Then ultimately it's only about them.
Okay. So regarding, rehab and substance abuse, are you willing to do any kind of inpatient treatment?
I would rather not at this point. I mean, I have a job. I'm working all the time. I'm about to get a place one step at a time. But what I need is just a little more time to be able to show you and prove to you that this is what I want and this is my goal, is to get them back. I just got lost for a minute there.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. No further questions.
This question from Ms. Hunter. Has Ms. Melton been having visitation with the children?
Her visitations have been very spotty, Your Honor, due to lack of participation on her side in regards to her services and screening. Last she saw them was on a virtual visit, I believe around the beginning of June, because she did screen for us in May. And then before that, I believe she saw them in December for Christmas. It's usually like the participation and the visits generally occur around like birthdays or major holidays, and then it's disappears.
All right.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. Hill.
Well, nobody's addressing it. One thing was, I'm sorry, in June, I was supposed to do my OSAR, and that day I went to the hospital. And then my visits got cut off because of that. And I gave them proof that I was in the hospital on that day, and the visits were supposed to start again, and they didn't. They didn't start for almost 2 weeks, and then we'd already started in July.
All right, so you missed your OSAR appointment in June, you're saying, because you were hospitalized?
Yes, and they have the proof of that. What I was in there for and everything.
Okay, Ms. Hunter, you have that documentation?
Yes, ma'am, but she also failed to screen for us in June as well as July, which was part of the agreement with her visitation.
Your Honor, may I ask Ms. Melton a question?
Sure.
Ms. Melton, were you also set for an OSAR in May?
Yes.
And you missed that one?
For a job interview, yes. I chose, whether to go to that or for my job interview because I need a job. Have you rescheduled your OSAR since you missed it from being in the hospital in June? I talked to Linda yesterday or day before yesterday, and she needs a referral from Christina to even make me an appointment. And is that due to you missing the couple before? The referral, I think, is only for a month at a time or 30 days. I'm not really sure how long it lasts. So you missed in June and you just reached out to her a couple days ago? I reached out to her in the early part of, let's see, that was July, and she was out of town until July 17th. And you saw the children in June, is that correct? Yes. And when was the time before that? Before Harvey went to the kids, before school got out, so that was May. Okay. Before that, it had been since December before that? Yes. Okay.
I'll pass the witness right now, Your Honor.
All right, anybody else have any other questions for Ms. Melton?
No, ma'am.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hill, anything further with respect to the extension?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation regarding the extension?
Your Honor, I'm just not sure that it meets the extraordinary circumstances requirement. I think at this time I would recommend no extension.
Your Honor, may I make an argument real quick?
Sure.
The department would oppose the extension on this one. I understand Ms. Melton may have started trying to do a few things, but there's been essentially 11 months throughout this case where she hasn't done anything. She's admitted to still using up until a little over a month ago. She has refused to go into any sort of rehab or inpatient facility to get help at this time. And as Ms. Zavala just said, I don't believe anything reaches to the extraordinary circumstances to get to a extension at this point. I think if anything, as far as the documents that Mr. Hill received this morning, I would recommend instead of a extension, maybe a call and recess to give him time to review those, since we're up against the clock on the deadline. But I don't think that mom's little bit of participation at this time, it seems too late at this point in the game, especially due to admittances within the last month. We would be completely against an extension at this point, Your Honor.
Excuse me.
Hang on just a minute. Children, where are children placed, Ms. Zavala?
They are placed together, but outside of the area,
Right.
in a foster home.
Yeah, but together now.
They are
Okay.
together.
And they are, is that in Houston?
I believe so. I don't have the address in front of me, but I was able to Zoom with them a few days ago.
Because Harvey was in Borger, and then so he's in a bit, but I think okay, Houston.
Yes, ma'am. They were moved together May 26th, if I remember correctly.
And they both appear to be doing very well.
And has Emma been in that placement since the time of removal?
Not since the time of removal, but for most of it, if I understand. I think she was in a previous placement for just a little bit. I may have my facts wrong, but I thought she was somewhere for about 6 weeks before she moved to this one. But she's been there for quite some time.
And yeah,
I can look that for you if you'd like.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
real quick. I was a second ago when I was speaking to Ms. Melton, I saw somebody else's hand in harm. Is somebody in the room with Ms. Melton?
Yes, these are mine. My boss, that was Mr. Hill, had come for my credibility and everything.
Okay. I just want you, I thought I'd seen somebody's arm. I wasn't sure.
My name is Amber Sandoval, and my husband is Jimmy Sandoval. We're the owners of 3rd Avenue Laundry. Sylvia's been working with us right at 2 months. She's been very dependable for us. She's a hard worker. In the time that she's been here, we've talked about her personal life, and she's opened up to us. And I do see the love and care she has for her kids. She has been open that it took her a while to get going, but I do believe that she loves her kids very much and wants to do better.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is placement a long-term legal risk home?
Yes, Your Honor. Emma has been placed there since the time of removal, just to clarify that for you. But yes, that it is a long-term, potentially forever home if that becomes an option for them.
Ms. Melton, do you have any other children?
No.
All right, anybody have anything further with respect to the extension?
I did.
All right, Ms. Melton, just tell me what it is.
Also, you know, I understand that there was a lot of amount of time for this. And when I chose the right path, it ended up being the wrong path because it turned our whole world upside down. And that's discouraging. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do or how to feel. I was just lost. But the love that I have for my kids is more than anybody could ever have for their own. But as a parent, all of y'all are parents, I'm sure. Nobody doesn't have kids nowadays. You would do what you had to for them. I need a little help along the way. I need a little support instead of everybody telling me what I do wrong. And I'm stubborn. Who isn't? But if inpatient is what would help my kids, then I'll do it.
Well, it's,
but I don't think that you should have to live your addiction every single day. You have to let it go some point in time.
Well, Ms. Melton, I think it's not necessarily that maybe inpatient is the magic thing, but I think I think what's necessary for you is some kind of, not online stuff, but I think that commitment to a long-term program, developing a support system, separating yourself from bad influences and people that have not been, supportive or a good influence on you. I mean, it's all those things. Okay. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be inpatient, but there's something about making that commitment to a long-term program that translates to success for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the statistics.
Do they offer any program like that to where I could still work and work a program?
All kinds of programs like that, Ms. Melton, where you could still keep your job, where you could do a lot of things. Okay, so here's how I see this. I want to give Mr. Hill some more time to digest this psychological evaluation. I know from having read a bunch of those in my lifetime, they're pretty tedious. For lack of a better word, they're tedious to get through. Biggest problem we have is we're right up against the dismissal date. I can call and recess the case, and we've got to wind it up within 90 days, obviously. Or I can extend the case and set an earlier final, about the same time that we would be recalling. I'm encouraged by Ms. Melton's recent accomplishments. So I'm going to grant the extension. The extraordinary circumstances here, Ms. Melton, are you have made some important progress. Having a job is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had that for several months. That's encouraging, honestly. Because if you can't financially support your children, you can't, you really can't take care of them. And so it's very important. But I'm just going to tell you, even though I'm granting this 6-month extension, I'm going to reset it for a final on November 30th. Now, if you're really doing great at that point in time, we could push it out even further. So some really important things for you to know, Ms. Melton. We typically like to see 6 months of sobriety in parents. You're barely going to get under the wire on that. Because whatever the new dismissal date is, and we've got people that are going to be sitting here working on that right now. 6 months from now, we have to go to trial or do something to finalize this case.
Okay.
So, even, you just really, it sounds like all the time in the world to get these things finished up and all that. But, the truth is it's just a blink of an eye. And so you have got a whole lot to do in the next 6 months. And I'm telling you, you better light the world on fire between now and November 30th.
Okay.
I'll let Mr. Hill explain to you in greater detail what I mean, because he knows exactly what I mean. He's been doing this long enough, and he's been in my court for many, many years now, and he knows exactly what I'm going to expect to see. I'm going to order you to some inpatient program, not inpatient, excuse me, an outpatient program. But, you know, I'm not talking about a 30-day deal.
Mhm.
I am talking about a longer term thing. Ms. Hunter can help guide you to some of those programs. All right, I've heard something about you don't want to do downtown women's center because you've got history there or whatever, but there are other programs out there. Because I think you need that, and I think it will help you develop a support system. So I'm glad you've got a support system with your employers. That's great. That's a good place to start. But you know, you need to obtain suitable housing. You need, I don't know what your transportation situation is, but I mean, you need to have solid transportation, you know, and let me tell you, you miss one drug test or alcohol test that there isn't a documented valid reason that you can't be there, game is over.
Okay.
So, you know, that is paramount. So, I mean, I can't stress that enough. You miss one without a really good reason, and it's not going to be good. You know, if you used a month ago, you know, you may feel like you're doing really great right now, but you know, that is just a month is, I mean, congratulations. If you've not used in a month, that's great. But it's just not long enough, you know, for anybody to bet on you at this point in time, you know? And I understand you don't like people pointing out. I heard what you said. You don't like people pointing out what you've done wrong versus what you've done right. But, you know, we've got to look at your past performance and whether we decide it's safe to put children with you. And sitting here today, I cannot find that it would be in the best interest of the children or that it would be a safe situation to put the children back with you. I think there's a continuing danger to the children to be placed with you as of today. You're an addict. You've got a problem. You've got to show me that you can address that on some kind of longer term basis. So, talk with Mr. Hill. He's your best friend right now. And we'll set this final for November 30th. I'm just trying to see if we need something in between now and then.
Judge, while you're thinking about that, I would also ask that we get a hair and UA order today.
Granted. So Ms. Melton, you need to go for hair and UA drug screen today before 4 p.m. Any reason? Right?
I won't pass today. I want to tell you that now. Okay.
Will the UA pass?
No.
So did you lie earlier when you
We
said
won't have this problem next month, I promise you.
Did you lie to me earlier when you said it had been since June?
You didn't ask me if I had used at all since June. You didn't ask me that. You asked Miss Hunter.
I think, Judge, I think she had admitted to Ms. Hunter, the testimony was she had admitted to Ms. Hunter on June 29th that she had been using that. I don't know that we specifically asked Ms. Melton when the last time she used was.
All right, Ms. Melton, when was the last time you used? You're muted.
Oh, there we go. A couple weeks ago.
So since June 29th.
Yesterday.
Today is August 3rd.
Yes, last month. I can pass in 30 days.
That isn't the issue.
Y'all just give me this, please just give me this chance. I understand that I have a problem and I'm reaching out to do all the things that y'all asked me to do.
while you're using. All right,
Judge, I've got one other small thing. I don't know if it's something we want to address today. Information that the person that Ms. Melton is, I believe, in a relationship with also uses. I don't know if that's something we need to look at to see if they would be willing to participate or what we need to do on that if she is around and in a relationship with somebody that uses.
I'm not in a relationship.
who are you living with?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Who are you living with?
I'm living with my mother.
Anybody else there?
No. But I'm not gonna be living with her much, like maybe a day or two more. I have found a home to move to on my own.
And you gonna live there by yourself?
Yes.
I'll stick with what I said, but we're gonna have a, see, Miss Katie, you texted me that date. Would that be, were we talking about for a review hearing? Or,
Because we can do a review hearing on that date.
okay. I'm gonna set a review hearing on September 19th. And the final I'll set on the November 30th of 2023, 9 o'clock docket. Ms. Hunter, I'm going to give you the go ahead to well, obviously I want you to send the 2054 for her to drug screen today to do everything. So we've got some levels. If you want to send her every week, go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind, Your Honor, since we do have her employers there, or would they be okay with her needing to go screen at any point in time and be able to make accommodations for that for her in her work schedule?
Absolutely, yes. We are here to support her and we want her to do just as well as you guys do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe it'd be January 30th.
All right. New dismissal date, January 30th of 2024. But when you hear that date, Ms. Melton, that does not automatically mean you have that long.
Right.
Let's work on getting her into a long-term outpatient type program. And we'll regroup, see in a little over a month how we're doing. See if she's gotten her living situation changed. So, okay.
If I screen today, can I see talk to my kids next week?
Judge, well,
I'm not going to start that up again until we have clean drug screens.
I understand.
It's just too hard on the kids to start and stop and start and stop. So we'll talk about that in September.
Okay.
I've read we've read current reports, everything. Anybody have anything that we need to address as far as a review hearing today, or as far as how children are doing? I think I've got a handle on anything that concerns mom.
February 2nd.
February 2nd is what I've been told. Sorry, there's a couple of days off.
All right, February 2nd. Sorry, February 2nd of 2024. Okay.
As far as the children, Your Honor, they're doing well. They very much like being together. They're interacting really well together. They're growing, they're thriving. The foster mom is currently getting Harvey set up for his services and stuff like that. Emma's still doing really well. She's still engaged in all her services, and no major issues of any kind. She is still having some GI concerns that foster mom is still very much on top of, that she's trying to get her bowel movements regulated. But outside of that, they're doing really well.
Okay.
I agree. I got to Zoom with them. They seemed great. Foster mom is very concerned about the GI issues, but as Christina said, totally on top of it. But was wondering if mom had any information that she could pass along that would shed light on what's been going on. And she's basically having nonstop bowel movements, and they've got doctor after doctor looking at her. I mean, they're doing what they can to figure it out. But if there's any information mom could share about what's going on with her previously.
I tried to when Christina first asked me the first time before Hill took her to the doctor. Nobody would answer my phone calls. Beans, 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 any kind of bean, she will eat it. And when she eats it every meal, even at breakfast, refried beans, she will get normal. She got so normal that we forgot until y'all called me upset because she couldn't go to the bathroom. I forgot that she even had that problem. The hurting, the doubling over, the crying, like she's holding it in. Beans. And she loves them. And she gets regular and she is fine. And like I said, it's amazing. Fiber is the best thing for her. None of that medicine hurts her tummy so bad. And I stopped giving it to her and she was fine. And she changed herself alone. She would go get her diaper. She would go in the room and change herself. She didn't need help or anybody messing with her. And if somebody had answered the phone, y'all would have known, and it wouldn't have traumatized her so bad. Because we took years to try to figure that out. Doctors and everything like y'all are going through. But nobody would listen to me. I know my little girl. I know my son. More than you could ever imagine. And she eats the pork and beans right out of the can.
Okay, well, we pass it along. All right then. I'll continue the department temporary manager conservator, continue placement. See everybody back on September 19th. Ms. Milton, go drug test today, hair and UA. And don't miss one. And
okay, thank you.
Kind of start thinking about programs, and maybe Ms. Watson can put her very large brain onto this project.
Your Honor, if it's okay, I would still very much like to send her for an OSAR, just so that way we can possibly get recommendations that she may know about that we may not.
Absolutely.
And then I just need to confirm that Ms. Milton's phone number is still the same that I've been trying to reach her on, because I haven't had contact back.
No, it's not. I just got a phone yesterday, day before yesterday.
Okay, Ms. Milton, you know how to, you have the
Yes.
100 number, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you need to be sure she has your current phone number.
Okay.
All right. Okay, everybody. I'll see you back September 19th.
Thanks, Judge.
Judge, I'll